Chain Plate Maintenance by Captain Wayne Canning. Chain plates are not items you will find on many boat owners' lists of maintenance tasks. Most owners never think their chain plates would need any maintenance. For the most part, they would be right. However, like it or not, chain plates need some care and attention. The failure of a chain plate can be catastrophic and is one of the leading causes of dismasting in older boats. Leaks into and through the deck around the chain plate can cause water damage to the deck and cabinetry as well. This damage can often be expensive and difficult to repair. Periodic inspections will give you peace of mind and prevent expensive repairs. Back in the early days of boat building, things were pretty simple, as chain plates were usually bolted to the outside of the hull where they could easily be inspected. When designers and builders moved chain plates inboard to improve sailing performance, things got a little bit more complicated. Any boat owner knows only too well that anything that goes through the deck is a potential leak source. This is particularly true with chain plates, as they will move with rigging stresses. The biggest enemy of chain plates is corrosion. Although most chain plates are stainless steel, this does not mean they are immune from corrosion. Stainless steel gains a good part of its corrosion resistance from a surface film that forms when the metal is exposed to oxygen. This causes a problem for chain plates that are installed through the deck, though. The surface where the chain plate passes through the deck is blocked from oxygen by sealants, trim plates, and contact with the deck. Any moisture that gets into this area can and will cause corrosion. This problem is compounded by salt water. Small pits will form on the surface where microscopic galvanic cells will eat into the metal. To make matters worse, this is an area that is not easily inspected. Movement of the deck and rig makes this a tough area to seal and keep sealed. Additionally, cycling loads placed on the chain plate can cause stress corrosion. Stress corrosion is a type of corrosion that results in hairline cracks that can lead to sudden catastrophic failure. Add to this warm temperatures often found in the summer and warmer climates, and you have the perfect storm of corrosion for stainless steel. You might think at this point stainless steel would not be a good metal for chain plates. As with most things on boats, stainless steel is a compromise between strength and cost. There may be better metals, but for the cost, stainless steel is not a bad compromise. Knowing its weakness, however, is key to understanding its proper care. With a bit of attention to the problem areas, stainless steel will give many years of reliable service. I recommend most owners visually inspect their chain plates at least annually. I also recommend that chain plates be pulled or removed for a careful inspection once every 5 years after the boat is 10 years old. Unfortunately, not all boats are built in a way that makes chain plate inspection or replacement easy. Some builders seem to have gone out of their way to make this a difficult task, while others have done just the opposite and made them easy to access. It is, however, important to look for signs of trouble, no matter how the chain plate is installed. The most common type of chain plate is basically a flat bar that is bolted to an interior bulkhead or knee, where it then passes through the deck with the metal trim plate fitted on the outside. Although this is the most common installation, it is also one of the most prone to leaking. Movement of the deck and rigging will often cause the sealant around the chain plate to open up and let water in. In another common installation, the chain plates are welded to a horizontal plate that sits flush on the deck. The underside of this plate is then attached to a rod or bolt that passes through the deck to be attached to a structural member inside the boat. This type of assembly can be cast as one piece as well as welded. Lifting of the horizontal plate from the deck is a sign of problems and can lead to leaking. More often seen on small boats, U-bolts are sometimes used as well. All types of stainless steel chain plates can suffer from pit or crevice corrosion where the fitting passes through the deck. Unfortunately, removal is the only way to really inspect for problems. Most chain plates are bolted to a structural member inside the hull. However, some are fiberglass to the hull. Chain plates that are fiberglassed are by far the most difficult to inspect or replace. To make matters worse, the fiberglass can make corrosion issues worse, as it can trap moisture between the fiberglass and the metal. Fiberglass does not adhere well to metals, and voids between the fiberglass and the metal chain plate are inevitable. If you have glassed-in chain plates, I strongly advise routine inspection for leaks that would allow water under the fiberglass. Weeping rust is a sign of problems. Unfortunately, it is all but impossible to really inspect the condition of the metal in these installations. The only real way to fully inspect fiberglass chain plates is to completely remove the fiberglass and the chain plate. Not a simple task, and one that often requires dismantling interior cabinetry. No matter how chain plates are installed, the first place to start is with a visual inspection of the outside of the chain plates. Carefully inspect around the clevis pin holes and bolt holes for cracks or any deformalities. I like to use a magnifying glass to aid with this, and will use a Scotch-Brite type pad to clean the metal where needed. Look carefully for hairline cracks or anything that does not look right. Look for rust stains, particularly at holds and welds. Rust stains can be a telltale sign of corrosion. Check the welds carefully for cracking along the weld. If you are inspecting the chain plates bolted to the exterior of the hull, check the bolts for rust staining as well. Check that the bolts holding the chain plates are flush and tight to the chain plate. Look for any signs of movement, pulling, or lifting from the mounting surface. Use a wrench to check that the nuts are tight. Next, if the chain plate passes through the deck, look carefully at the sealant around the opening. Check for any gaps or cracks in the sealing that could let water in. If any cracking or drying out of the sealant is noted, it is time to renew the sealant. Before renewing the sealant, though, interior inspections should be done to see if the chain plate should be removed. If the sealant is bad on one chain plate but not the others, it would be best to plan to reseal all. Next, go inside the boat and try to access the underside of the chain plates. Remove any panels that you can to gain better access. If it is all but impossible to see the chain plates without major disassembly, try looking down below where the chain plates are to see if there are any signs of water leaking or rust stains. Look at the woodwork surrounding and below the chain plates for sign of water damage. Any sign of water or rust will require further investigation. Don't forget to check the forestay and backstay chain plates as well. Forestays and backstays are often bolted onto the outside of the hull, but you still need to look inside at the bolts and backup plates. Leaks on the forestays and backstays are easy to overlook because they often do not affect living spaces. As with the shroud chain plates, rust or water staining should be investigated. Some chain plates, particularly the horizontal plate type, will have a stainless rod attached on the underside of the plate assembly. The lower end of this rod is then attached to a structural member on the hull. Sometimes there are toggles or turnbuckles fitted to the rod as well. Check that all the bolts, nuts, and other fittings are tight and secure. Any leaks under the plate at the deck level will often run down the rod, causing corrosion at the ends and fittings. The rods, and particularly any fittings, need to be carefully examined for corrosion, cracking, and other issues. Check the hull attachment members as well. If glassed in, look for any signs of delamination or cracking in the fiberglass. A moisture meter can be helpful as well for checking structural members made of glass over wood, as often seen in older boats. If everything looks good and there are no signs of water leakage around the chain plates, and you have not noticed any cracks, rust stains, or other anomalies, then you likely are good to go. However, if you saw any signs of problems, it is time to get more serious. If you note any cracks in the metal or elongated holes, it is time to think about completely removing the chain plates for more careful inspection or replacement. If everything looks good but you are seeing signs of water leakage or rusting, you may just need to reseal the chain plates. But before you can know for sure, further investigation is required. With the flat bar type of chain plate, the trim plate can be removed and the sealant cleaned out to inspect the condition of the metal where it passes through the deck. This is an imperfect approach, and this type of inspection is limited. However, it may give you a chance to get a general feel for the condition of the metal. If any moisture or rust is noted, it is time to pull the chain plate. By far, the most common failure point for chain plates is where they pass through the deck. This is true for most types of chain plates with the exception of forestay chain plates. Forestay chain plates will most often fail at a weld or where the metal is bent around the stem head. Forestay chain plates are also subject to damage from impacts with docks and anchors, and are subject to side loading from the rig. Any chain plate that passes through the deck or cap rails should be carefully checked. The wood surrounding the chain plate will always contain some moisture, and if there are any leaks, the wood will hold the moisture longer, so these are particularly susceptible to corrosion. Although some chain plates can be very hard to remove, it is often the only way to ensure they are in good condition. As mentioned earlier, if your boat is older than 10 years or you have seen any of the problem signs, it may be well worth your effort to tackle this job. In many cases, it is not as hard as it looks. For most boats, this can be a weekend job. If access is poor, you may be able to add removable panels to make the job easier. The worst case scenario, as mentioned earlier, is when the chain plates are glassed into the hull. Few builders do this, but if you are unlucky enough to have glassed-in chain plates, pay close attention to the recommended inspections and consider an alternate system should you have to remove them. Once the chain plates have been removed, it is time to clean them up for inspection. Carefully remove all sealant that may be stuck to them. Solvent may help with this as well as some light scraping. Next, use a medium Scotch-Brite type pad to polish any rust or stains from the surface. After cleaning, visually inspect the surface for any pitting or cracks. Again, a magnifying glass will help with this. If you see any lines you are not sure about, using a dye penetrant will aid in determining if it is a surface defect or a crack. Check for surface pitting as well. Small pits will easily develop into deeper pits, weakening the metal. If there is any doubt at all, the chain plate should be replaced. While you are at it, you should carefully inspect the bolts securing the chain plate as well. Unless cost or availability are factors, it is best to just go ahead and replace the bolts. Check the bolt holes in both the chain plate and the boat as well. If they are not a snug fit around the bolts, it would be wise to drill the holes larger and install a larger bolt, or use a bushing to remove any play. If you end up removing your chain plates and they pass inspection, or if you are replacing them with new ones, polishing will help. Few builders fully polish their chain plates or even polish them at all. It would seem at first this is something you would do just to make them look good, but it will extend their life as well. A polished surface on stainless steel helps protect it from pit corrosion. This is because pits do not start so readily on a smooth, polished surface. Polishing them for their full length and on all sides will help prevent corrosion and help you spot flaws and possible problems. Some owners are replacing their stainless steel chain plates with titanium. This is a viable option if you are willing to spend the extra money. The cost is not just in the metal, but also the machining, as titanium is a harder metal and most machine shops will charge extra for working with this metal. Some shops will not work with titanium at all. I have also heard some owners switching to bronze, but I am not in favor of this as it is a much softer metal. If bronze is to be used, the dimensions will need to be increased to compensate for the weaker metal. You will also want to make sure you use a good grade of bronze. Bronze can also be subject to pit corrosion, so it will not completely solve the problem. Composites are another option for chain plates. Careful engineering needs to be done with composite chain plates, and they are not easy to retrofit into an existing installation. I personally do not have a lot of experience with composite chain plates, so I will reserve opinion other than to recommend a professional with experience be consulted before going this route. It's not like there were enough chores on a boat. Inspecting your chain plates is not high on the list of things to do. The importance of regular inspection should be obvious, though. Whether you cruise or race, having the peace of mind knowing your chain plates are in good condition will allow you to relax and enjoy your time on the water. Annual chain plate inspections will provide you with the peace of mind and help protect you and your boat from catastrophic damage.